Well, there you have it. We've kind of reached the halfway mark where we can't pull down anymore. I've just taken a whole heap of photos for all the parts and bits and pieces that I need. I've just basically stripped down the rest of the head. What I mean stripped down, I took the manifold off it. I'm going to put it in and get it probably crack tested and machined. And now I'll run around, chase up a few parts. Some of those hoses that were in there before, very, very crispy. So I'm going to redo all those hoses while we've got good access, because they're crispy now. They're not going to last that long. The car's 23 years old. It's more than paid for itself and more than deserves it. It worked extremely hard over my tradie years as a carpenter, hauling trailers nearly every day with machinery on the back and all the timbers that were, this is a 1-ton ute, or in your language over there, what do they call them, a truck over there. Basically, this thing, I've had 4 ton on it and driven it around. So, you know, it got me to where I am today. So, am I happy to spend some money back on it? Absolutely, I am. It looks like a mess in there at the moment, and it does, but we will put it all back together now. Anyway, I quite enjoyed doing all that. What did we do? A day and a half, and plus, not even a full day, because the last time I kind of took some time off during lunchtime. Anyway, so let's get some parts, we'll get it organised, we'll put the head in. I might even take a couple of videos of me actually taking the head, putting it in, and yeah, we'll sort of go from here and see. Right, now, I drove this car in here with a blown head gasket, and it wasn't really blowing much steam all over the place, but it wasn't running pretty good either. And my plan is to drive it out of here. And not too far away either. So yeah, so we did a video for this morning's intro. This is where we are now, and when we go to do the rebuild and a few other bits and pieces, now we run around and we chase up all the parts. So we'll video that, and then we'll start the video back together. And anyone can do this. It just takes a little bit of time. I did get a little bit stuck on the timing chain, but again, I stopped, did some research, and yeah, you just sort of slowly nut it all out until it's all gone, it's all down. Everything is back where it should be. There's probably a half a dozen bolts here, which I probably have not really an idea where it goes, only because I didn't put them back where they need to be, but they will show up. I mean, not even 6, I think there's 4. I think there's 2 nuts, 2 bolts, and I've got a fair idea where they go anyway, out of the whole engine. So yeah, not an issue at all. Alright, well, so I'm going to go now put the head in the car. When I say car, not this one. You've seen me drive this brown one before on one of the episodes, one of the shipbuilding episodes. This car is now up for sale. When I mean this car, I mean this car. When I mean car, this one here, this one's an up for sale. I'm going to take the Holden Colorado down with all the parts, and I'll show you which one that is. Got the 2019 Colorado there. We'll throw this in the back and we'll go and take it in and get it serviced. What do I mean by service when it comes to a head? They will strip it down, I believe, crack test it, make sure there's no cracks, and then give it a shim, make it nice and flat, and it's all ready to go. So then I have to reset the block up, clean it all up, get it all ready, and then we start to put it all back together. And how do we put it back together? Basically the reverse of how you pulled it apart. And while we're there, any little bits and pieces that need replacing, we'll replace it, and it should be good for another 23 years. Okay, so I'll get on with that. Inlet. bolts. Okay, welcome back. Had a terrible time trying to find these hoses here. I do believe I have found them. Can't really get a replacement of this pipe, nor can I get one of that one there that actually is split. So it's that one in the camera there. And this one here kind of comes around from there anyway. So what am I thinking about doing there? That's a very good question. So this pipe here, you'll hear, oh, could I get away with this one? I don't know. I don't really know. The problem is this hose would have been so hard to get to. Oh no, it does have a bracket in the back there. This one here, pretty good. I basically make an assessment on all the parts. The head is already in, getting worked on. And again, I'll show you why it failed with this camera. There are other issues with this motor, such as this here, which will need to be cleaned out once we get this off. So yeah, just so where am I at now? Well, I'm about to jump in the car and go down and suss these hoses out, and they did say they may have one of these ones. Now if they have this one here, which goes across the back and up, you'll be seeing a very happy man. This one here actually does have the split in it, which is what caused the problem. But that hose, you can see it's quite flexible. It's got a lot of flex still left in the hose. This section here we could easily just remake with a little bit of ingenuity. Sorry about that, I'm actually hand holding it, which you're right, I probably shouldn't be doing. Well, that's better. I should have just zoomed out in the first place. Why didn't I do that? Yeah, so if I got these hoses, I will replace them, only just because it'll be easy to get a hold of. A little crispy, not too bad. And this head should be done. So we pulled this down yesterday and took it in for the head. He said I need 2 days for the head. I told him not to worry about how long it takes, so leave and allow 3 days. So we got a couple of days to organise this piping before we can put it back together. So let's jump in the car and travel down there and see what they got here, to see if it's alright. Now, I just spotted something which I'm not overly happy with. See that engine hose, the heater hose there? See how it looks a little puffy just here? Could that be the pipe? Yeah, that's alright, that's the pipe. Normally that's a telltale sign that the pipe's going to blow. So yeah, it's a little messy and everything else, but that's what we get from here. So that's where we're at this morning. Now I have made, like I said, an awful lot of phone calls, this and that. Parts are very hard, so I'll see exactly what I can get, but we definitely must fix this one. If we don't do anything else, we got to fix that one. And I reckon, what's that hose like? That hose is pretty good, but what is that, a straight bit of hose or something? Anyway, we'll suss out exactly what he does have. Now when I actually went to Ford. They said basically, because the car's 23 years of age, anything they have they would have already destroyed by now. I reckon that's ridiculous. Fancy destroying all the parts. So let's get in the car, we'll go down there and we'll see how we go. Okay, now let's get set up over here. off on a bit of a trip this morning to try and get these injectors all done.
There's congestion on M1 that is causing a 12-minute delay.
So what are we doing this morning? So this morning we're heading off to Heidelberg, which is about an hour away, to put the injectors in to get redone. What is it? It's probably about 9 o'clock in the morning, no, 8:30 in the morning. So I do suspect we're going to hit some sort of traffic.
Turn right onto Balan Road, C703.
Should pay more attention to the road and not the caravan. Okay.
Continue on C703 for 1.5 kilometers.
I've got the other camera going as well, so you can kind of see where we're going. So the head should be finished today as well, and if by chance we might go and pick that up. I'm also going to stop off at a couple of wrecking yards to see if I can get some parts from there as well, and then we'll see how we go. I kind of meant to do this yesterday, but things cropped up and it didn't really eventuate, so this morning I got up nice and early to come out here and do this drive. Come in here and do this drive just so to make sure it all gets done in time, and I do have an appointment this afternoon around 1 o'clock, so I can't really be gone all day.
Turn left on Park Street. Turn left on Park Street. In 400 meters, turn right on Where?
I brought the other camera because I thought maybe you might like it. To have a bit of a look around Melbourne. Maybe you've never seen Melbourne before.
In 500 meters, turn left onto Parker Street.
Why? Really? Oh, 500 meters. Oh, not this one. Next one. I don't think it's this one. I think it's the next one. But let's go that way.
In 100 meters, turn left onto Parker Street. Turn left onto Parker Street.
I do have it set for the fastest route, so...
In 400 meters,
it's gonna
turn
take
right
me
onto
ways.
Werribee Street North.
Let Google finish first. It's going to take me ways in which I don't really know. Don't really know this way, that's for sure. This is a 2019 Colorado. It's the LTZ Plus, and I've just clicked over 12,000 kilometers on it. So not much considering it's 2019 and we're in 23. Yeah, 4 years. I remember it was about 4 months ago that I even clicked over into 10,000. So what is today? Really, today's just like a bit of a road trip, just to sort of you know, show you what's going on and picking up parts and bits and pieces. I would have liked to have found an injector mob closer, but there actually wasn't one around. So and I do believe they do them on site in about 40 odd minutes, so that's pretty good if we can do that. Well, we're here, that's the building right in front. So I'm just going to check it out and see if it's actually correct. My injector's here. We're going to meet the guy in reception so we can do these injectors. I'm inside waiting for the guy. We're in an office. G'day mate, how you going? Well, they're dropped off, couldn't really show you too much in there, and you know, I'm still getting used to this YouTube stuff, so you know, when I do recordings of people look at me, it's kind of weird. So they're dropped off, so what we might do now is I'm going to head over towards Caroline Springs. I got some parts from there the other week, and there was a ute there already sort of half pulled apart. I'm going to check it out for some more parts. It's quite sunny at the moment. It's going to be a warm one, that's for sure. I won't show you the drive on the way over there, so I'll pull up once we're there and we'll see how we go. Okay, we've just made it to the Wreckers. The Wreckers is right behind me there. I've also pulled up and got some Maccas. So a muffin, coffee. Love that coffee, love it. So I was here a few weeks ago when I was trying to get the car restarted after it played up. And I came here to get the fuel pump and other bits and pieces, and you couldn't get it anymore. Well, you can and you can't. Anyway, I was coming here looking for other pieces. So I ended up building one out of like 3 different car pieces, and that's how I got the car going, which is how I knew it was no good anyway. So let's go in. I'm going to check out that couple of utes in here that I'd seen, because I think there's a couple of parts on there that I think I remember seeing, and I came back to double check. So let's go in and have a look. So I'm out here in the wrecking yard, and as you can see, it's a little different. It's a little bit different to what we were originally looking at. So this is not going to work, this car. I did recall seeing these hoses here, but it's not going to work. There was something else I wanted here. Yeah, there it is there. Is that the adjuster? Or is that adjuster broken? Oh yeah, that adjuster's broken. What is it, like a little clip? Does that have one millimeter? It's probably broken too. Does feel like it. Okay, so that's probably not going to work either. So I'm now out here looking at all of these just to see if any one of these will actually got some petrol parts that I can scavenge off. And so far these are all diesel. So that's not going to work. Yeah. We'll just keep looking. There's the whole yard out here. Keep wandering. I've seen these couple, they're not going to work. That's not going to work, it's a diesel. It's still got the diesel engine in it. Obviously catastrophic. This one, that's a diesel. Yeah. I'm looking at the seats too because I could use a new seat. This one, diesel. I don't know if these make any difference. One's got the lid off. Ranger. That's a diesel. Wild Tracks. Diesel. This one down here. That is a diesel. Yeah. And last but not least, diesel. No, this is not going to work. So what am I going to do now? Well, I'm thinking of going plan B. And you have to think a little bit out of the square when you're talking about a car that's, you know, nearly 25 years old. And I was a young fellow when I bought that car. So now I'm going to go with, we'll possibly buy some new hoses. But if I can find some T-joints that I can cut the hoses up and put the T-pieces in, we should be right. So we do need find some T-pieces around here. That's what I'm going to go with next. Okay, now I'm at Burson's Auto Parts. I rang them yesterday and they said they possibly did have a couple of hoses. So my way of thinking now is if I can get the hoses off the firewall to make it look good and everything else, I'll make the lines that'll go underneath. Can't be that hard. They're only hoses and pipes after all. So I'm going to go into Burson's right now, which is just over here. There they are, just there. I'm going to go in and suss it out and see how we go. Once again, why is there a mark there? It's my finger. All right, let's go. Well, we're in luck. Burson's had the two hoses off the firewall, which will make the firewall look pretty good, and all the other hoses are kind of underneath. So the plan now is I'm going to get some copper. I'm going to make some T-pieces, and then she said they've got a whole heap of hoses in there. I'm going to bring my setup in, and then basically I'm going to make the T-pieces first, and then we're going to make the hoses to fit everything that's in there. And where I can, I'm going to try and keep a copper pipe around the back of the engine, and I'm going to use some clamping material to make a new clamp to hold that, and that should be back together again, all ready to go for the head. So yeah, I think that went rather well. Its parts are incredibly hard to get a hold of, and as I said to you yesterday, Ford are now destroying all the parts once a car now is out of 10 years, which is just ridiculous. So now we'll move on. Now we will move on. I might go to Bunnings. I've still got that appointment this morning. I've got a little bit of time. So I'm going to head up to Bunnings and have a look at some copper piping and other bits and pieces, which is all made to hold hot water anyway. So currently in Bunnings, looking around for the plumbing section for all this copper. Okay, it's plumbing's up this way somewhere. Nope, not there. Some thick pipe here, some thinner pipe here, and some even thinner one just here. Now we just need a T-piece. Nope, nope. Maybe. Yeah. So we left this morning at around about 9 o'clock. I've done a lot of running around and been the other side of town and back, and anyway I just got a call from the head guy and he said that the head is no good. Anyway, so where do we go from here? That's a good question. So I picked up the head. I'm going to show you the head in a minute. He's trying to say that it's 25 thou over, and that it's bent, and that the cam won't run and this motor won't run. Well, that, you know, that is not true. I've actually had this motor running, and the only reason why it didn't run very good is because the water, I put water in it and it was going through into the pistons. But once the water ran in it, ran fine. So do I believe this? Yes and no, because you know, you should always believe what people tell you. But 25 thou, he said he's never seen one so bad. And to be honest with you, back in the day, we used to just throw another head gasket on it and throw it all back in. But this is an alloy head, anyway, let's have a look at the head for 1 minute, because I've got like 20 minutes. So there is the head. It's back. It's fairly clean. He said to me he was quite surprised that it was not cracked through here or even this one. He said because that is extremely common on these heads. You know, and he was talking about the valves underneath where they were kind of pushed through. He said this thing's obviously been leaking water for a while, and I do believe him when he says that because of the corrosion on the valves itself. Now, but I also know that if you run this motor where it's not leaking water and you know you get it to do a few thousand revolutions again, you are not going to have rust on any of those valves, right? This motor did not miss a beat when it was running, apart from the head gasket. The head gasket failure. Did I know it was almost ready to fail anyway? No, I didn't. So I have a couple of choices here. I can either do old school and chuck this back together. I am going to get an aluminium bar and measure it myself to see exactly how straight it is and it isn't. Because I do know that this motor ran. So, and the other thing too is this motor, I only wanted to use it like maybe once in a blue moon to go pick up some furniture or go do some gardening or pick up some timber. So I'm not out to spend an absolute fortune on this car. I just want it to rerun. So that's where we're at with this. Yeah, I mean, he said 3 or 4 or 5 thou out. He said he would do it, but not 25 thou out. So, yeah, I don't know what you want to say about that. I don't know what your comments are. Just, yeah, whether I should listen. What I am thinking of doing is there is an aftermarket head that I might be able to buy for about $600 or $700. It's got new valves, got new everything in it, and I might just throw that on there. But I will contemplate on what's next, because we are having problems with all the water pipes and all that as well. I mean, this is turning out to be a rather difficult job to save this engine and this car. So I'll pop this back in, back in the boot here of the Colorado. I'll go off to my appointment and we will continue on with what we're going to do next. Okay, back in the car. The head is now in the back. I've probably got about 5-10 minutes for my appointment, so I'm going to quickly just rush around there and do that. And I got some serious decisions to make about this car. And to be honest with you, I'm not really ready to let it go yet. We are going to save this car one way or the other. G'day everybody, Mr. Bravo here. So, big day running around. It's almost the end of the afternoon. And I've had to make some serious decisions about this car. And we're not abandoning it, no way. But we are going to change what we're going to do. So, I have had to ask myself, what will this motor do from here on in? Well, it's basically going to become my gardening and taking to the tip car and picking up timbers and other bits and pieces for pergolas and whatever else needs to be built on the new house. So it's not going to be working very hard, right? I was just at the shop. I ran into a few of my old buddies from 30 years ago. We used to pull motors apart together. I had the head in the back of the car. We all went out and had a look at it. And we all came to the conclusion, don't skim it. And it makes a whole lot of sense why not to skip it. So if you say, the shop says it's 25 thou, right? Half a mil, right? And half a mil will run, if you skim that and you tighten it down, your camshaft's gonna be out. So they said, you know, how often are you gonna use it? Not that often. So we had a look at it. He said, look, had a look at the head. They said, look, it actually looks really good, and it does. It looks really good. We checked it all out. It looks okay for the amount of work that this car is going to do. He said, if I was you, I would put new bolts in it, new head bolts, and over tension it with a brand new head gasket. Because he said to me, if the camshaft is bent by shimming it, it'll run out of spec and eventually it'll snap the camshaft in half. But you guys didn't see it, but even after this car had overheated, and it did overheat because I tried to push it extra far to get it home, and well, while I did know that was probably the wrong thing to do, that's what happened. I can't undo it now in hindsight. Is it hindsight, pre-sight, whatever it is. So after we all inspected it, it's a 25,000, it's a 25-year-old car. I'm not going to use it that much. So he said, look, if I was you, I'd put brand new bolts back in it, brand new head gasket, clean all the ports out. They did actually clean the head and all that sort of work for me. So they've kind of done half the work. I just got to clean the block. And he said, just over tension all the bolts. half a mil will pull down ore, and as I know as well, the head gasket will take that up anyway, because the head gasket's got some give. Back in the old days, we used to just rip them out, chuck a new head gasket in it, and throw them back together in one afternoon. And honest to God, that's what we did. It's a little different with an alloy head, but this car is not to be warranted or anything else, which is why this other mob wants to go, no, this head is kaput, you can't use it, right? I intend to believe I come from the backyard kind of people, which is why I do this, because I used to do cars backyard, sort of repair them, whatever else. And even when he said this car will never run again, well, that's not true. I've already seen it running, even with the bad head gasket. It ran good until I put water in it, and then it didn't run too good when I parked it up here. But this drove up here. I didn't push it up here, it drove it here. So where are we going to be now? Well, I've just ordered the two hoses on the firewall here to put brand new ones. I can't get all the piping on the bottom, so what we're going to do there is we're going to keep only the one side on the exhaust manifold side, only because even if that one corrodes, it's not a very big job, to pull the exhaust manifold off and repair that side. The other side's huge. So what we're going to do there is, from the new hose from the firewall, we're going to come back around with hose and maybe even a bit of bar, and like a bit of bar around behind the engine, and then back to hose again. And then I'm going to put in some T-pieces and stuff like that with brand new hoses, and it'll all be back to brand new. And then obviously we can plug all them back in, and everything will be fine. So that's where I'm at with that. I was looking a few minutes ago. I know I had 4 hoses for the, because we had 2 for the gas and we had 2 for the throttle body. But you know, I looked a minute ago, I couldn't find where one of the hoses was. So I'm just going to pause it and have another look. Well, I did find it. It's actually still on the inlet manifold itself. I'm looking there, I'm like, mate, there was 4 hoses here. I couldn't find them anywhere. So there's 3 in the engine bay itself, and there's 1 in the manifold just down the side down here. So that's no problem. So where am I going with this? So 2 hours ago, when he said to me the head was no good, it wasn't looking very good for this engine or this car. But now we're going to go old school. We're going to go right old school. We're going to do some bodged up work with the hoses. But like I said, I did find the 2 hoses on the firewall, so they at least look good, and those bodged ones will be underneath where you can't see. So when you actually look at the motor, look nice. So we're going to do that. New bolts, old school, right up a bit, you know, tension and a bit more, pull the head back down. The brand new gasket will take up the difference of 25 thou, and because we're going to screw that back down without shimming it, it should all run nice and flat again. It should be fine. And if it does do a cam, well, then we'll go down that road when that road comes. But I don't really use this car all that often. Like I said, it's just, yeah, I can go hire a car and do what this car does, but it's inconvenient. I mean, I brought this car and I said I was going to drive until the doors fall off. The doors haven't fallen off yet. And because they haven't fallen off, I'm going to rebuild it. I quite like this car. It did a lot of work for me. So that's where we're at now. I've ordered a new head gasket and new bolts. I've got the head back. Pretty much just going to throw it straight back on. The head, it's fine. There's no cracks. There's no nothing in it. There's a guy who tested it. He said, other than that, it's good. He said, we did spend an hour on it, you know, putting it through its wash and cleaning it all out and everything. So, I mean, yeah, there are other options, but, you know, you've got to kind of weigh it up, like, what do I want to do here? And a couple of my fellow mates that were in that shop, when we come out and looked at it, they're like, mate, this is not even, it's a no-brainer. Like, he said, as soon as you shave it, you'll fuck the head. Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, basically, they said you'll ruin the head. So he said, just seriously, just over-tension it. Put the same head back on. And anyway, I've enjoyed pulling it down, and I probably enjoy putting it back together and actually running it. I've already fixed all the fuel system on it, so it does run on fuel. I don't know if it runs on gas. It might still run on gas, it may not. Before I completely put the converter back on properly, I'm just going to run it. If it doesn't, I've actually found a replacement for that anyway. So worst case scenario, it'll run back on fuel, it'll run on gas. You know, the head gasket itself was, as the guy said from the head place, he said this has had a blown gasket for a long time because all the valves have a bit of rust and everything on top. Well, that'll all disappear within a few thousand revolutions of the motor. It ran fine. It was never short on power or anything else. So yeah, anyway, we're going to old school it back together. So with the new gasket, new bolts. So tomorrow I'm going to work on fixing all these pipes up But tomorrow morning we have to go back and get the injectors that are on the other side of town, which is where we went this morning. So I'll drive back out there and get those, come back, and then we're going to start taking these hoses off, and I'm going to start to duplicate them so that I can put them back in, and then we can put the head back together in there. I really want those hoses done because they're way too crispy just to throw the motor back together, because especially now that I've been mucking around with them, they're probably even worse. And while we've got good access to do that now, we're crazy if we don't do that now. So that's exactly where we're at with this engine. So let's continue on with the rebuild, and we will get this thing back running again. Okay, I'll go now, and I'll bring you back when we're probably tomorrow, when we're going to go pick up the injectors and stuff. So it'll be running really, really good. Okay, this might be an episode here, I don't know, from the travelling today and to the whatever, but I will see you tomorrow and we'll keep going with it. Bye for now, thanks for watching.